Hey, ARESxGOD here. And honestly, after this episode, I got very emotional. So many scenes, the bond of a father and son between Paul and Rudis was so emotional and so good. Also, Geese and the barkeep being the MVPs of this episode. Honestly, such a powerful episode yet again from Mushoku Tensei. I was speechless in some scenes. I know I'm praising it so much, but honestly, this show is so good. So let's get into this episode and talk about it. Now, I liked how much presence those scenes at the beginning were having. Finally, seeing a bit of Paul's journey from the beginning after the disaster happened, with them being teleported, to him waking up with Norn in the middle of nowhere, having no idea what happened, how he got there, the confusion, everything he's been through, having to take care of alone of Norn, trying to get home through everything, gathering people, having to take care of her, his slow decline in the state we saw him when we met him again, kind of puts a lot of things into perspective. He didn't have it easy at all. Doesn't excuse but explains his state, so to say. And I like how Norn was the one thing that at least kept him from losing himself completely. She was the light that kept him as sane as possible, so to say. But yeah, he didn't have it easy, like I said. Now, back a bit into the present, I gotta say, Geese was probably the much needed dose of reality that Paul got from him. Also, he wanted Paul to go in the guild to meet somebody. Maybe that's gonna be somebody important. But Geese was the one that told him, kind of brought him at least back to his senses, telling him, don't you think you're expecting a bit too much from your son? Even if he's a genius, he's still a kid. Could you have survived the demon continent at the age of 11? You are underestimating the demon continent. It's very hard, telling him everything that Rudy had to go through, what he did to get there, even though it was Rudy put it out as a game. I gotta say, Geese, thank you for that moment over there. And even telling him, Rudy, explain it as a game when you guys first met, because he didn't want you to be worried about him. And you can see slowly Paul starting to understand and get a better understanding of what Rudy has been through, of everything that happened with him, what he has been through, and slowly starting to crawl back to a sense of normalcy through this episode. And I think the gut punch that he needed more was Geese telling him, or were you hoping that your son was missing limbs, was in a bad state, or maybe he was dead when you reunited with him? And I feel like that was very needed there. And you can see him after that imagining different scenarios, with meeting Rudy in a happy moment, with meeting Rudy almost dying, and that kind of brings him back even more, starting to get his act together, so to say. And on the other side, even Rudy being lost into his thoughts over there. And I liked Ares, as soon as Paul walked in wanting to apologize, Ares instantly went on the attack there. Who are you? Paul, I'm his father. I know. Gotta love Ares doing her best, trying to defend Rudy, and Rudyard kind of having to be the the guard to stop her, picking her up, moving her away. And Rudyard was also the advice that Paul needed, again, kind of along the same lines as Geese. All your grievances matter only if your son is alive, and that's very true. No matter what happened between you, your family, or anybody, it matters only if they are alive. Very needed reality check for Paul and Rudy. Don't get me wrong, Rudy also needs a big dose of that. And I like and they finally sat down to talk a bit, both of them being nervous, even Paul being thankful that Richard was the one that saved his son, wanting to apologize for their meeting, Rudy also wanting to apologize, still thinking that he had it easy so far, but wasn't looking into Paul's eyes while he was also trying to apologize, still sticking to that story that everything was easy, downplaying everything that happened to him also because he didn't have it easy, even though he kind of acclimated to what happened on the demon continent and everything there. He still had some pretty hard things to go through, and so much pressure taking care of Ares, having deal with Richard and his reputation and everything, and so many things I'm not mentioning right now, and even saying sorry that I didn't find your message, and the message was forget about me, search the north side. But yeah, slowly and slowly they're starting to have that much needed discussion, conversation between them, trying to find their way back to each other, and him saying he wants to escort Ares back to Fitoa, but apparently everybody vanished, there's nobody left there. After that he wants to search for his mother and Lilia and all of the others that are missing, and this is where we have the second MVP. I gotta give him thanks, the barkeep giving him a drink on the house and telling him at least look him in the face, and this was the gut punch that Rudy also needed. And he looks up and you see Paul tears on his face, starting to cry, and this kind of triggers a bit Rudy. Why are you making that face? And you finally get the answer why that face was familiar to Rudy even from previous episode. He saw that face somewhere else, and we get more flashbacks of his original life as a shut-in when a friend came to visit them playing games together, and that friend was trying to cheer him up, telling him it must be so good to just be able to play games all day without a worry in the world. But Rudy was still dealing with what happened to him and took it very wrong and kind of lashed out at that friend, which caused him even to lose that friend. Even though he wanted to apologize, that friend never visited him again, and he also couldn't go out because of pride to apologize to that friend. He was still stuck as a shut-in thanks to his pride, and he was very grown up in this episode, even in his own words. Was very proud also of Paul, that Paul did what he couldn't do in his past life, even though he was a bit younger than him in his original life. Paul forgot his pride, or stepped on his pride, and actually was able to do what was needed and came back to his son to say he's sorry. And I got very emotional this episode. I mean, maybe you guys can even feel it a bit in my voice. This is why I like flawed characters much more than perfect and good characters. And Rudy came up with a brilliant idea. Let's be grown-ups, being proud of Paul. Let's pretend that our previous meeting yesterday didn't happen, and let's have our proper reunion, and making him kneel down, extend his arms to be able to hug him, and they go in for a hug. I've missed you, both of them. I'm sorry. They started crying, and actually having a father-son reunion after everything that happened, after everything they've been through, that was such a emotional and powerful moment. Yeah, Mushoku Tensei is so freaking good, even more after moments like this. It shows that you don't need action, character driven stories, sometimes even better than just having flashing LSD fights on the screen, so to say. And yeah, they finally had that much needed reunion, and they made up, so to say, even being back to their old self, joking around each other in the room. But yeah, I'm happy for them. An amazing episode. And now the epilogue, so to say, or things that are gonna come, and Ares again being great, coming back in the room with a bruised eye. Rudyard struggled a bit to stop her from going after Paul. We have Rudy healing her. All of them are okay. We have Paul giving Rudy some money and a letter of introduction, able to pass the continents much easier. And I liked Ares's reaction. I don't know if she was just putting up a bravado, but I'm gonna give her the credit, even if she was just putting up a bravado when Rudy told her our homeland is no longer. So many people are missing, and Ares saying I was prepared for at least this much. And Rudy wants to start searching for his family, for Ares's family, which we know what happened to her grandfather. That's gonna break her a lot when they find out. But yeah, Ares being great, and Rudyard. Now, after that moment, we have them saying their goodbyes with Norn again. Was so cute this episode. She was hiding behind Paul. She's still scared or apprehensive to connect with her brother after what happened in the first reunion, so to say. She doesn't really like Rudy anymore. But yeah, hopefully their relationship can be fixed after everything is settled down a bit. And Rudyard again with the advice telling her cherish your siblings. Rudyard is great at relationship, even though he doesn't seem as the type. He's honest, and that matters a lot for everybody, him and around him. He has lost so much, and that gives him a different perspective, so to say. And I liked how Rudy, being the perfect salesman, left some of Rudyard figurines behind for everybody, branding his brand, so to say. But yeah, honestly, awesome episode. We even had Geese telling him he's gonna go to a new area to search for the missing people, and Paul being grateful to him. Yet again, Geese was awesome this episode, and we finally have Paul pumping himself up, getting back to his old self, new confidence, thankful for everything that happened after all of the bad stuff that happened. Finally having a win, so to say, which was much needed for him and for Rudy also, and very powerful and emotional episode. That's just to sum it up a bit, an amazing episode, and I'm excited for what's to come, and the search and the journey continues. We have so much left to explore, all of the missing people, what happened, how it happened. I just want more Mushoku Tensei. Hopefully we're gonna get a lot more. Now I'm curious what you guys thought about the episode, the relationship between Paul and Rudy, things to come, Geese and the barkeep, Ares and Rudyard, everything that happened in this episode. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about it. As always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, helps me quite a lot, and you guys get the latest videos on the series that I follow. So keep enjoying Mushoku. I'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye.